Hello, I am at the cemetery today for Memory Monday with Memorial Day coming up in the United States of America. I don't feel that there's any better way or better time, I guess, to honor my grandpa for serving in the Army. He might have been in the Navy division. On his gravestone, it says the Army, but the stories that he told me also sounded a lot like Navy stories. So I have to fact check that. But I'm going to go ahead and share a memory today. And then next Monday on Memorial Day, I want to go ahead and share his D-Day story that he had told me. So one thing, I'm going to take the camera that I want to share about my grandpa and tell a brief story before I share his story off the boats of during World War II, is I want to show you his headstone back here because there is a little story about that. So him and Grandma came to find their plot, and they wanted to go ahead and say what they were going to put on their headstone. And so my grandma put loving mother, and I had to show you what my grandpa put. So there's a bit of a story here. Grandma says loving mom, and grandpa wanted to say have a nice day, and grandma said, why would you do that? And grandpa said, because anybody who comes to visit us, I want them to know that I want them to have a nice day. So every time I come and to see Grandpa and Grandma put stuff down here, it always just makes me chuckle. When I read have a nice day, I go, I will, Grandpa. So, all right, let's tell his first story. So this one, he told me, it was really crazy growing up because when we would do World War II, and in school, I was very curious. I like history a lot, and I was very curious about his stories. And my mom, was like, no, don't talk to your grandpa about it. Well, it was because it was conditioned in them growing up that, my grandpa, he, had, it bothered him, obviously, right? Like what he dealt with, some of the stuff over there. And the servicemen that come back, we just don't always really know how they were affected and what they dealt with over there. And it wasn't until my grandpa was, he honestly ended up passing away, I guess, like a month or so after he told me that story. But when I was just sitting there talking with him, and I'm like, Grandpa, can I ask you about World War II? And like, how come you won't talk about it? And this is when he told me these stories, and then the story that I'll share next Monday for D-Day. So Grandpa is on this like big Navy ship, and they're off the coast of Japan, and there's some kind of little island out there that they keep a lot of the big oil drums for the United States soldiers to get, I guess, to put on the boat. So history people, like, help me with this, okay? So I always remember the story and the details. I don't always remember like some of the logistics. So Grandpa comes up, and all of the men are like on the ship, and they're like saying that they have to draw and things like that. Who's going to go down there and get the oil drum, because they had to swim through the waters and grab the oil drum. Either that, or maybe they had to put the oil drum out there. Either way, they had to swim through the waters with the oil drum. And nobody wanted to do it. And my grandpa just kind of walks up in the midst of the chaos, and he's like, why doesn't somebody just go do it? And everyone's, no. And nobody's really saying why. And my grandpa's like, I'll just go do it. I'll go do it. All right. So he jumps in the water, and he swims across this island, and takes it or brings it back, right? He swims across to this island, and everybody's up on the boat, and they're like cheering and yelling for my grandpa. And he gets back to the ship, and everybody's like, yeah, high-fiving him and shaking his hand, and you're like, good job. And my grandpa's like, I really didn't understand what the big deal was. Like, we've all been prepared to do a mission like that. I didn't get it. And he said, and then I looked off of the ship when I went up on the upper deck, and I looked off the ship, and here there were sharks swimming around everywhere. So my grandpa was like the hero at that time and didn't even know it, because nobody wanted to get in shark-infested waters to deal with this oil drum. All right, that's it for today. See you next Monday with the D-Day story. Cheers to a happier and healthier version. of you.